So what I'm going to talk about is, it might seem strange, but before I dive into talking about sensors and vision and AI and things like that, I want to talk about vehicle architectures, because they're changing, and that's actually driving a lot of the things that we're seeing happening in the industry. We'll look at some of the popular compute platforms out there, some of the positioning that we're seeing in the market. Then we'll get on to actually looking about the ADAS sensor demand, how that might look long term. Wrap it up with a few conclusions. I'll take a few questions, but then there's a whole half an hour where Junko and I will be talking afterwards, where I think we have time for some audience Q&A and that as well, don't we? So there's plenty of chance to ask me questions. And then later on this afternoon, I think I'm the last speaker at Speaker's Corner. So if you have a question, there is no excuse for not getting it to me somehow. And if that all fails, my last presentation slide is a QR code to my LinkedIn profile. So, so I want to answer your questions. So we'll start off with vehicle architecture change and why this is important. And it's sort of illustrated by this slide, or the implications of it. So we have the blue line is light vehicle production. That's what we're talking about today, light-duty, regular passenger vehicles. And you can see it was growing. Well, we had a bit of a financial crisis, a dip. It was growing quite nicely, had an even bigger dip with COVID, and it started growing again. But then the semiconductor demand from those vehicles, until around sort of 2018, 2019, was tracking it quite closely. So the growth for the semiconductor industry was a combination of more cars and more semiconductor cars, but it was a reasonable balance. And then something happened, and now you'll see the growth on that semiconductor is a much higher gradient than the growth in the vehicle production. And for the semiconductor industry, most of the growth now is coming from increased content per car, not from more cars. And the primary reason for that is the electric vehicle. Now, yes, electric vehicles do have more semiconductors in them natively, particularly on the power side. So if you're an IGBT or MOSFET vendor, one, you're probably at the wrong conference, but it's very good news for you if you're an IGBT or MOSFET vendor. But it's a bit more subtle than just more semiconductors in an electric vehicle, because some of the early electric vehicles, we'll say early in our recent paradigm, of course they go back to the 1800s, early in our recent paradigm, were essentially repurposed gasoline platforms. What is now, everyone is bringing brand new platforms to market. And when you bring a brand new platform to market, there's a step change normally in your content. But normally this is averaged out over time, because not every car maker brings a brand new platform to market at the same time. But now, pretty much every car maker is bringing a brand new platform to market at the same time. So we're seeing this step change and a continued growth over the next few years as these electric vehicles come to market.